Congressman Krishnamorthi of Illinois, a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congressman, thank you so much for joining us this evening. I want to ask you first about these strikes in Yemen. This is the third round of strikes that are led by the U.S. with an international coalition. We know that the Brits took part as well earlier today. This message of deterrence appears to not be getting through. The Houthis continue to carry out these strikes against commercial shipping in the Red Sea. They are continuing to fire missiles, to fire drones. So why have these strikes not been effective? What more does this coalition need to do you think?
Well, I think that they probably are going to need to continue to be vigilant with the coalition in making sure that the Houthis get the message, not just through these missile attacks, but also from others who might have connections to the Houthis in the region, whether it's Iran or others. At the end of the day, however, I think the central issue that the Biden administration is working on right now is dealing with a prolonged pause in the hostilities in Gaza, a release of the hostages, and bringing a little more calm to the region. And so whatever they can do to deal with the Houthis and other militias while not disrupting those negotiations or sparking a regional war is paramount right now.
We are going to see Secretary Blinken going back to the region, including stopping in Israel. How critical do you think it is for the U.S. to help Israel and Hamas get to a point in the fighting where there is a pause in order to see the other flare-ups in the region essentially calm down?
Extremely important. And Bill Burns and Avril Haines briefed our Intelligence Committee just a couple days ago. And Bill Burns, the CIA director, has been playing a big role as well, along with Tony Blinken. I think it's extremely important that there be a temporary ceasefire, a truce, whatever you want to call it, a pause in the fighting so that there can be a release of hostages, a massive inflow of aid to help people in the Gaza Strip, and then a chance at getting to the light at the end of the tunnel, which is a two-state solution. That has to also be, in my humble opinion, on the table as part of the talks, if not part of the current talks, at least in parallel, because we can't go through this endless cycle of violence at this point. That is very important.
You just mentioned that you've been briefed by the senior-most members of the U.S. intelligence community. Help us understand what the U.S. believes Iran's intentions to be, because we kind of decipher their signals, and the general understanding is they don't want a conflict either, but at the same time, they are happy to continue stirring the pot. So what does the intelligence community believe that Tehran actually wants to accomplish here?
Well, as you know, Iran repeatedly provides money, training, and weapons to various militias throughout the Middle East to conduct nefarious activities. One very interesting thing is that a lot of times they know in advance, but sometimes they don't know in advance what these militias are going to do. And so the question here is whether the Iranians are going to actually exercise their leverage and get these militias and proxies to stop this nonsense. This nonsense is going to spark a much wider conflagration that will come back to hurt the Iranians, and they need to realize that. And so at this point, we need to calm the situation, allow for the Israelis and the other parties to have these negotiations for a prolonged pause in hostilities and get to a better place.
So do you think the strikes that we saw last night in Iraq and Syria against these seven different facilities will get to that area where essentially Iran will tell its proxies to dial things back? Is that going to be effective?
Published reports suggest yes, but we don't know exactly. But let me just bring up one other issue, which is very important, which is, I think that it's very important that the president do everything in his power to defend our forces, and he has that right. He has that inherent right under the Constitution. But any kind of extensive offensive operations beyond this would then require that Congress get involved through some kind of authorization of use of military force. And so it's very, very important right now that we also observe that particular issue and not cross a boundary there either.
Iraq has been a vital partner for the U.S. military in terms of combating ISIS in Iraq and Syria. Now we're hearing a lot of anger from the Iraqi government. Many even saying that the U.S. military has to leave Iraq because of the strikes that we have seen by the U.S. in Iraq. Are you concerned that Iraq may essentially kick the U.S. out?
I'm always concerned when a country says that. On the other hand, they have vital security links with the United States. And at the end of the day, you know, if militias are operating from Western Anbar province, attacking American service members, we have the right to defend ourselves.
All right, Congressman Krishnamoorthi, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.